So let's go ahead and talk about user groups. So user groups, first and foremost, is a way to connect our different users in a single place. The terminology that we use is user groups transcend the hierarchical structure of organizations, or they traverse them. In other words, what this means is you are able to take different users from different organizations and group them together. Right? This can be horizontal, this can be vertical, this can be for any reason you feel like, and this will not affect the way that the organization structure is built out, nor does it affect the membership of the organizations as well. So let's say, for example, we have a couple of different users within Liferay, and we want to group them together. Maybe these are all blog posters, right? And so we can take all of our blog posters and put them inside of a user group. This could be our blog post user group. But since there's already an organization for that, maybe that's not the best idea. Or maybe we want to group all of our group leads or team leads into one area so they can talk about, why Agile is the best thing ever. Then we can group them all together within their own user group. Or maybe you want to group together users to talk about poker night or playing Fortnite, whatever the case is. We have a lot of flexibility there. So let's talk about a couple of features of user groups and where do they kind of come from. So the first big use case for user groups is back over in the LDAP world. So over in LDAP, users might already be grouped inside of your LDAP server. And so what you can do is preserve that grouping and bring in your users and that group all together. So when you bring in an LDAP group into Liferay, Liferay will create a user group that maps to it. So this makes the integration process between LDAP and Liferay much easier, much simpler, right? With our user groups, you can also create a user group site. So the user group will have a site with it, but it's not exactly like your classic website that you navigate to by entering www.usergroupsite.com. But rather, the user group site is a site. Each one of the pages of the user group site is given to the users. By default, Liferay users have their own site, so the user group site pages merge with the user's own site. That's the idea here. And user groups can also be assigned to a Liferay site. So the idea here is anybody who is a member of a user, the idea here is anybody who is a member of a user group will also be assigned to the site. So user group is assigned to the site. Any user who is a part of the user group is also assigned to the site. And you can keep on funneling users into the user group, and they'll also be assigned to the site as well. So how do we create a user group within Liferay? Again, pretty simple task here. We're going to head over to the control panel, select the user section, and then within the user section, we'll see user groups. Once we click on user groups, you're going to see a blue plus button. You'll click on that blue plus button, and then you'll be given a specific form to fill out to create the user group. It's really that simple. So let's go ahead and see how we are able to create a user group. So what we'll do here is we'll create the user group and we'll call it marketing. We'll add Omar to the marketing user group, and maybe we'll pick a couple of other users to add to the user group as well. So let's dive back into Liferay and see how this is done. So back over here in Liferay, what we're going to do is just as we saw. So in the menu, heading over to the control panel, followed by the user section, we're going to head over to user groups. So clicking on user groups, we see there's already quite an extensive list of user groups. This came from our import that we worked on a little bit ago. So let's go ahead, and once the user group section has loaded up. Let's click on the plus button over here on the right hand side. So clicking on that blue plus button, it's going to give us the form to create. And so we're going to be calling this Livingston Life, followed by digital marketing. So we already have a Livingston Life organization. We also have a Livingston Life user group. So to express how this is an extension of the user group, extension of the organization, right, we're adding the digital marketing. This doesn't really create an actual relationship between the organization or the user group, just for naming convention. If you want to add a description, feel free to do so. So I'll go ahead and add one here. The group connects employees associated with Livingston Life digital marketing, including Livingston Life writers and team members from marketing sub departments. Right. If you want to add a different description, you can do that as well. I'm not going to be too picky about that. But again, we're trying to simulate some sort of realism here. If I were to do this for Livingston Life, I would want to provide some good descriptions here. So once you have a description typed out, go ahead and click Save. So we have our organization. Let's go ahead and find it in our list here. So there's the Livingston Life digital marketing. We're going to be selecting the options button that lines up with it. So options button that lines up with it. And then we're going to be clicking on assign members. So we can pick any user within our Liferay instance to be a member of this user group. Right, so we're going to click on that blue plus button over here on the right hand side. We got our little satellite going up and down, letting us know no users were found. So let's go ahead and click on that. So clicking on the plus button on the right hand side, first user we're going to be adding is going to be Omar. So I'll go ahead and search for Omar. Right, and we're going to be adding Omar Miles, checking the box that lines up with his name, and then go ahead and click Add. From there, let's go ahead and add a couple more users. Feel free to add whoever you like. It can be any user you want. Right? Maybe you want to add Sally, or maybe Leo. Let's see. There's a whole 6 pages here. Maybe you want to add Emma. Let's add a couple people here. Sarah, Edward Knight. I'll add a couple more people here. John. Let's see. Omar, we already added him. Nova. And I'll keep on going through here, adding a couple more users. Jerry, because why not? Mary. Talia, let's see, Harriet, Clark, sure. Just adding just a couple here. You'll notice I checked a lot of boxes, right? Let's go ahead and click Add. And you'll see as I traverse through those different pages, we're able to preserve those who we selected. So very good there. So we've seen how to create a user group. We've seen how to add users to a user group. Let's go ahead. We'll jump back into our slides here, and we'll talk a little bit more. So summary here real quick of user groups. So head back to your student's guide, do a little bit of reading up of any concepts, and then let's come back here and we'll review the summary. So fill in the blanks with what you feel is best, and then let's recap over here. So over here, user groups can be used to connect users in different parts of the organization's structure. So take a user from one organization, take a user from another, take both of those users, and you can group them within a user group or connect them. Next, we're going to import some user group pages to keep Omar and others connected to the rest of the marketing department. Okay, so next part here, user groups traverse the organization hierarchy, right? The idea here is you can take different users from different organizations, and it's not going to affect the user's membership to the organizations, nor does it affect the organizations themselves. They are independent of one another. So admins of Liferay, so for example, Mr. Copland, right? He is the platform admin. He is the one who is able to create a user group site that's going to be adding pages to the user's personal site. Okay, user groups can be assigned to, user groups can be used to assign users to a site as well as an organization site. So you can take a user group and assign that user group to a specific site. Any users who are part of the user group will also be a member of that site. So let's go ahead and think about some ways in which you are able to use a user group to connect your users. Are there users that may exist in different organizations in which you can group them together? So go ahead and think through that on your own, and feel free to build it out in your own training environment. Right? So again, feel free, have some fun, break some things, kind of play around, really get comfortable within the UI of Liferay and just creating some simple things there.